So over the years on my fitness journey, I've seen a lot of people struggle with getting lean. Some will struggle with going from 15% down to 10% body fat, where they have to get rid of that last stubborn bit of belly fat. Others will struggle with going from 20 or 25% body fat down to 15% body fat, which is sort of more maintainable, sustainable as a lean physique. Regardless of the goal, most people have a really hard time here, and there are certain missing links that I've noticed that actually make a difference between those who are really crushing it versus those who are struggling for years in some cases, and actually even going backwards and not being able to even maintain because they just simply get discouraged, they lose all motivation, and they just simply want to give up on the whole thing. So I want you to learn from these insights as well, so you can put this puzzle together, you can finally solve it for yourself and start getting some amazing results. So without any further ado, let's dive into it. So the first thing that I've noticed with people who are really struggling to get lean is that despite them saying that they're looking for something sustainable and long-term, their actions simply don't reflect that. So what's going to happen is someone is going to go into a calorie deficit and they're going to track their body weight, they're going to track their nutrition, and then they're going to hit a weight stall. The scale is not going to move down for 2-3 days. And when that happens, their actions are suddenly cutting the calories, suddenly adding more steps, doubling the steps, adding more cardio, considering a full fasting day, and they're basically freaking out. Because over the years, as someone tries a bunch of different approaches and they all fail, you end up with less patience overall for the whole process. So you have a really, really tough time trusting the process. You have those scars from previous attempts, which were probably some kind of quick fix or some kind of nonsense that had no chance of working. But now, even if you stumble upon something that works, you never give yourself a chance to fully experience it, to fully get the job done. Because sometimes, yeah, the weight scale is going to stall. The journey is not linear. You might have a weight stall for up to 2-3 weeks where the scale is not going to show any progress. You might be holding 2-3 pounds of water and suddenly you drop those 3 pounds and now you're making a ton of progress and you're right on track. But if you don't have the patience to wait for 2 weeks to see what's actually going on, you will self-sabotage yourself, because even cutting 100 or 200 calories a day can double or quadruple your hunger. And then you're going to have a problem because it leads to binges, your cravings go through the roof, and you simply, again, go back to that unsustainable approach that you've had before, which never worked out for you and never will work out for you. Because this journey is about ultimately finding the sweet spot, and you don't want to go too fast, you don't want to go too slow, you want to be losing somewhere around that pound to pound and a half of fat loss per week. That's sort of sustainable. You can make that happen, and in order to do that, sometimes you have to just plow through those periods when you're not seeing stuff on the scale. This is why I always recommend not just looking at the scale, but also looking at your physique. So take pictures regularly of yourself and also measure your waist. Make sure you have that waist circumference to see maybe you're making progress there, but the scale is actually lagging behind. This gives you more objective data so you can get yourself more into the process. And at the end of the day, this is a process. You can't force the process. You simply know your numbers and you trust your numbers and you allow the numbers to work for you. So be very careful if you're someone who's tried a bunch of stuff, none of it worked. Be careful not to bring that baggage from the past now in this moment, ending up in a lot of self-sabotage. Now, the second thing that I've seen with those who aren't getting lean is that they're also not hitting the like button on my videos. So if you haven't done so already, go below this video right now, smash that like button as hard as you can. It really means a lot to see your support. Going on to the second thing here is that people really struggle to get lean also usually struggle with taking small steps forward. So they might have some idea of what an optimal approach might be. They have some preconceived ideas about how this is going to go. And then they look at their life and they see their life is pretty busy. There's project at work, there's business stuff, there's family stuff, there's a lot of responsibilities. So they're thinking, well, if I can't do it the optimal way, I may as well just wait until things get a little bit better. That is one of the biggest lies we tell ourselves. If you're on the journey to success in life, life is not going to get easier. Life is only going to get harder because there's more responsibilities coming your way. There's more things to do. There's more stuff happening. Less time you're going to have, and everything else is just going to get more and more difficult. The only thing you can do here is make yourself better to actually better handle those things and have better time management, and overall start planting those habits right now for when life gets even harder, so you can actually have those habits built up. So there's nothing wrong with starting small. Now that's the issue. You have the busiest people who need the most help, who need the most self-care, often Also thinking about it, well, if I can do it the right way, I'm not going to do it at all, which is a really, really big mistake. Because ultimately, even if you start with some basic things, let's track our calories right now. That's going to deliver results. Let's start with walking a little bit more. That's going to deliver some results. So you really want to plant those habits now and then let them slowly grow. Getting an hour more sleep. Those small differences add up over time and make the whole process easier then to upgrade. Because you can always upgrade from version 1. You start with the minimal viable plan right now. Implement that plan in your life, things that you can do now. Find a little bit of space just to start carving out a little bit more self-care in your life and then build from there. It really goes a long way. You iterate over time, you do a little bit more, you slowly develop passion for it, and suddenly it changes your life. It transforms your life. It starts with small steps. Don't fall for this trap of thinking that it's just this one single event and suddenly you're just flipping a switch and doing everything optimal and suddenly you're crushing it. That's rarely how it happens. Even with small steps, there's going to be mistakes, ups and downs, failures, you fall off, you come back on. That's just the reality of the journey. This is not an easy journey. So you want to start sooner rather than later to give yourself a chance to start wiring in these good habits and start fighting off some of those bad habits in order to give yourself a proper chance at this to really crush this thing so you stop struggling and actually start succeeding and seeing some incredible results. And the third missing link that's holding so many people back, even the most disciplined ones, is they're failing to properly transition between getting lean and staying lean. You might have someone who's losing 20, 30, 40 pounds, working really, really hard at that for 6-7 months, then just to regain all that weight in a matter of weeks or a couple of months because they're not properly transitioning. They're underestimating that transition from the end of the diet into a proper maintenance phase. Because the truth is, those hunger signals, the cravings you had at the end of the diet, those really strong ones, they're not going to go away just because you raise your calories a little bit to maintenance. That's not how it works. In fact, what usually happens is cravings are going to get even worse. This happens to me often. I finish my diet, and it's almost like my mind is opportunistic. It sees there's a little bit more food, now it wants more, and it's now stimulating me to get more. Probably thinking, well, in case Mario gets this crazy idea to get down to 8% body fat or even lower, let's start to put on some body fat right now. Let's try to send those signals to him. And that's ultimately something you got to be very, very careful with, because that transition phase can last months sometimes, depending on how much weight you've actually lost. And it's an unfortunate truth when you see so many people who have lost so much weight just to see them regain it back and just get really, really disappointed. And in some cases, it actually kind of ends up in being a limbo state where you actually regain some weight, you go back to a cut, then you regain weight, and you go back to a cut. So for 6 months, you're kind of cutting and gaining and very inefficiently, which is very mentally depleting, and you end up with so much diet fatigue that you don't even know what to do next. So this is a really tough situation to be in. And so when you're planning a fat loss phase, whether it's 16 weeks or 20 weeks, make sure to add on at least a month at the end there where you can properly transition, maintain the same structure, maintain the same habits that got you to your goal without trying to break structure. You want to make sure you learn how to stay there. So it's actually worthwhile to even have periods where you practice maintenance. If you have to lose, let's say 50 pounds, lose the 25, maintain for a little bit, then lose the next 25. If you're not a competitor, what's the rush? Why are you doing this? Ultimately, you're looking to learn how to make it a sustainable lifestyle, so treat it like that. Don't jump into the next milestone until you've mastered the first milestone. This is going to really serve you well. The other thing that's going to serve you is make sure to subscribe below. Make sure to hit that bell as well, enable notifications. If you want to work with me as your coach, details in the description below. Make sure to check those out. I'll leave a video here at the end for you to check that out as well to help you in your journey. I'll see you in that next video.